This is the first video for parts of speech, and in this video we will talk about article, be verb, and noun. Please follow along on your handouts that's available on our classroom website. So the first one is an article, and there are only 3 words in the English language that are considered articles, and it is the, a, and an. Okay? So anytime you see the word the, a, and an, you know instantly it is an article. So what's the difference between the and a and an? When you use the, it's something that's very specific. On the other hand, when you use a and an, it is something that's generic. So for example, if I was in class and I asked, does anyone have a pencil? All right, I forgot my pencil at home. Does anyone have a pencil I can borrow? I'm asking the class for any generic pencil, right? It doesn't matter if it's a number 2 pencil, it can, I don't care what color it is, right? It's a pencil. Does anyone have a pencil? Now, on the other hand, what if I had said to the class, okay, who has the pencil? I know someone in the class has the pencil and you better bring it back. Now, when I say the pencil, you know that it's something specific, right? Maybe it's my favorite pencil, right? Everyone knows that, and someone borrowed it and I don't have it on my desk anymore. So if I say who has the pencil, you know that it's a specific pencil that I'm talking about. So that's the difference between the and a and an, but they're both articles. Now let's write a story, a fairy tale story, and it always starts with once upon a time, right? And again, here's a, which is an article. So once upon a time, there lived now a princess, right? You don't say once upon a time there lived the princess, right? Anytime you start off a story and it's the first time you mention a noun, you have to say a princess because it's generic. It's the first time you mention it, so the audience knows that it's something that's generic. It's the first time they hear about this princess. Okay, but the next sentence that you have, now you can say the princess, right, lived in a castle. You don't say a princess lived in a castle, right? The next sentence you say the princess lived in a castle. So notice the first sentence, it is a, and the next sentence, it is the. Now this one, I mentioned a castle for the first time, so that's why it is a castle. You don't say the princess lived in the castle, right? You say the princess lived in a castle. But again, the next sentence, if I want to talk about the castle, right, you say the castle was near a lake, because this is the first time I'm talking to you about a lake, right? But the next sentence, again, you know what's coming, right? The a is no longer an a because it's more specific. We know what lake it is. So it's the lake was haunted by a ghost, and etc., etc. Okay? So again, 3 words in the English language is the, a, and an. Those are articles. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk about be verbs. Now again, there are 3 main be verbs in the English language, and it is, are, and am. Okay, so again, write that down on your notes. It's is, are, and am. So if you say something like, he is funny, right? They are tall, and I am pretty. So these are your be verbs, is, are, and am. Those are your be verbs. Now there's different types of be verbs, right? And if you're talking about is and you want to make it plural, right, or past tense, right? He was funny. Okay, those will still be be verbs, but these are the main be verbs, is, are, and am. Funny story about be verbs. Does anyone know why it's called a be verb? Okay, long time ago, our English language came from England, right? That's why it's called English. It came from England, overseas. And England has been speaking English for thousands of years. And I'm sure you've heard of Old English, right? And language changes over time. And long time ago, they didn't have like he is was funny or be funny. they only had what's called the specific be verbs. So he is funny, they are funny, I am pretty. Now in Old English, they didn't have these be verbs. Instead, they had the be verbs. So instead of saying he is funny, in Old English, if we lived like thousands of years ago, you would say he be funny. Okay. Same thing with they are tall, right? You would say they be tall. And I am pretty, you would say I be pretty. Okay. So as you can see, these are grammatically incorrect today, but long time ago, the rules in Old English was that we didn't have is are noun. We just had be verbs. So we would say he be funny, and that would be grammatically correct thousands of years ago. And I'm sure you kind of hear that still today in some type of music. And we will talk about grammar a little bit. But if you say he be funny, they be tall, I be pretty today, okay, you can tell everybody that you're speaking Old English. So there you go. So that's the be verb. Now we will come back to be verbs later on in our parts of speech lecture, but let's move on to noun. Now I'm sure in elementary school you've learned that noun is a person, place, or thing, right? Those are the three things that you learned in elementary school. Noun is a person, place, or thing. So like a person, right? You can say like a man or Mr. Smith. Place, school, okay, or a street. Okay, thing would be like a rock, okay? But nowadays we have added a fourth category for noun, and it is the idea. So there are some nouns that are nouns, but it's not a person, it's not a place, and it's not a thing. So for example, the word idea. Okay, let's think up the word idea. Now, I have a great idea, right? Is it a person? Okay, no. Is it a place? I don't know. Is it a place? Can you go to it? I don't know. Is it a thing? Can you hold on to it, right? Can you put it in the palm of your hand? No, you cannot. So it's not a person, it's not a place, it's not a thing, but it's still a noun. So that's why we have a category called idea. So for example, let's write the word dream. Okay. It's another noun that's an idea. Right, because it's not a person, it's not a place, you can't really go to it. Okay? It's not a thing, you can't put it in the palm of your hand, but it's still a noun, so it's in the category of idea. So remember, some nouns, it's not just a person, it's not a place, it's not a thing, it's a fourth category called idea. So like dream, an idea, and democracy. Okay, we have democracy in America, right? So democracy, it's not a person, it's not a place, it's not a thing, right? But it's an idea. So remember the fourth category called idea. Now, some of you might be saying, hey, how am I supposed to know this, right? How can I tell, right, if this thing is a noun or not? Well, the clue is if you can put an article in front of a word, then it's probably a noun. So again, go back to number one. Article is the, a, and an, right? So anytime you have a question, right, you can stick an article in front of it, right? So like a dream, right? Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream, right? He has an article in front of it. So if you have an article and you can, and it sounds good, then it's probably a noun. Okay. Last thing is a pronoun. Pronoun takes the place of a noun. So some examples of pronouns are it, he, she, they, right, etc. So if you're talking about Mary, right, Mary walked to the store. Here's my noun, right, Mary's my noun. But the next sentence, you don't want to keep saying Mary, 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 right? So you're going to use a pronoun, and you're going to say she went to buy apples. So she would be your pronoun. All right, so that's it for this video. So I would like for you to continue and watch the next video.